Hello and welcome to another vlog. It has been quite a flat start to the week, if I'm honest, hence why this vlog is only starting today on Wednesday, halfway through the week. I think it's been a combination of the weather's gone a bit gloomy again, I'm still lacking motivation like I was a couple of weeks ago, and I haven't really been running. And running always helps with my mental state, but if I'm honest, I'm really lacking the energy to go out for a run at the moment. Like, running is a commitment, like getting yourself out and going for a run is a commitment. So today I've decided I'm going to go on a really long walk, because when the weather goes a bit gloomy, I have quite a habit of like kind of hibernating a bit and going in on myself. Even if it's not raining and it's still mild, as soon as it starts to get a bit gloomy, I just want to sort of sit in and curl up on the sofa. And I could easily do that again today. But I woke up this morning and I was like, do you know what? I can't have a third day of just sitting and being really, just like moping around and feeling really low. So I'm going to go on a really long walk. I'm going to pack my bag with my book, some snacks, my water bottle, and I'm going to go for a walk along the river that runs through the city, and then find a spot to sit and read my book, because I am enthralled at the moment with this book, Pachinko. And this is partly the reason why I didn't vlog last week and haven't really picked up the camera as well this week, because I have just had my head stuck in this. I also devoured David Sedaris's Calypso last week. I think I read it in a day. It was so funny, such a good book. And then since I finished that, I've been gripped by this. I'm almost finished. So yeah, I just want to find somewhere I can sit and finish this off, and then potentially start another book, I think. So yeah, I'm just hoping that going for a long walk will just kind of feel like I'm brushing away the cobwebs and just clear my head a little bit. It's 4:30 and I've only just got back. I left the house at 11:30. I went on a mammoth walk, and I sat down for a couple of hours to do some reading, then went to a different park and saw all the ducks and swans, which you will have seen, and just sat there for ages because the sun came out. I kind of got caught in a bit of a rainstorm, so I had to take cover. And then yeah, the sun came out, so I went to a different park and just sat by the water, just watching so many ducks, so many birds, so many dragonflies, and just all sorts. I just sort of sat there observing it all. And then loads of people turned up, all to feed the ducks and the swans, so things got a bit hectic, and I decided to come home. But yeah, that was such a nice way to spend the day. Although I was kind of not really doing anything different to what I would do if I was sat inside, I was sort of just reading. I felt much better for going outside, basically. Just felt good to be walking. Feel much better for that, and I think in future that's something I need to remember to do, even if I think because when it comes to exercising, I'm very much the kind of person who likes to sweat and do quite high intensity exercise, and I just forget that actually a long walk is good exercise as well. So yes, feel very good after that. And I didn't finish my book, sadly, but I'm going to sit on the couch and just quickly finish it because I think I've only got a couple of chapters to go. I just spent the morning sat outside reading because the sun made an appearance, so I was like, right, I'm going to get out there and make the most of it. But the clouds rapidly rolled in and I think there's going to be a thunderstorm in a bit. Today, sorry, my battery just died on me then. Today I am going to be tidying the Monica room again, as someone so aptly named it. Some of you might remember about a month ago I spent the whole day cleaning, organising what is supposed to be my office but is actually just become a room where I put things to hide them out of sight, out of mind kind of thing. But it's not good because I'm meant to work in here and I'm back in the same situation that I was in last time. It's just terrible. I don't know why I'm like this. I keep doing this. So there is potential for another Depop upload after I've cleaned up, and I haven't acquired anything new, so I'm not having a clear out to make room for anything else. I just don't think I was cutthroat enough last time. I have 2 plastic tubs up in the loft that I know are full of clothes that I haven't worn for at least 2 to 3 years. And they're things that I love, but I just don't wear them. They're things that I've just held on to. I've got such a bad habit of doing that. I'll just hold on to things because I guess it's almost like a bit of a nostalgic thing, but I'm not wearing them, so they're not really serving much purpose. But at the same time, I'm always like, oh, but it's such a lovely dress, or it's such a lovely jumper, like I loved it so much, I don't want to let it go, so many memories. So maybe another Depop. I mean, listen to me, I'm trying to like stop myself from getting rid of things like before I've even started the clear out. Potentially could be another Depop upload, depending on how today goes. We shall see. But I need to get this room tidied pronto. I think this afternoon has been quite triumphant. The floor is clear apart from a few piles, but you know, we all have piles, don't we? This is the pile to go to the tailor. That's a bag full of beauty stuff that I haven't tackled quite yet. And then this is a pile of things that need to be picked up by couriers. And then I moved my desk here just to sort of, you know, it's whenever I do a clear out, I just like to shuffle around the furniture as well. Might be nice to sit there and be able to see out the window. And then put the mirror here. So yeah, a pretty successful tidy up, I'd say. However, I've now got this task. So through here, I have all of the things that are going to go onto Depop. I probably won't do this tonight just because it's now 5 PM and I'm losing the light already. So I'm going to photograph them tomorrow and I'll get them up on Depop on Sunday like I normally do. But amongst all of this, there's a couple of COS shirts. There's quite a nice Norse Projects cardigan here. There is a Byredo handbag in there. What else is there? Oh, this kind of like faux leather trench. A Massimo Dutti coat. I mean, this isn't quite as nice as some of the previous stuff. Like this is a lot of old season stuff, like this quite old. Actually no, I think this is only a year old, this COS skirt. So there's a few gems in there. Oh, this is quite good. Toast, like sort of smock with a nice tie detail. But yes, that will all be on Depop on Sunday evening. I'll do like a little announcement on Instagram, but it'll be around about 8 PM like it normally is. Hello, I've just got to pop out to run some errands, like go to the post office, like return a Hermes parcel, just boring things like that. The weather cannot decide what it's doing today, so I'm wearing a jumper and Birkenstocks because I think it's kind of warm but it's windy, so I'm hoping by wearing an open toe shoe I won't overheat in a jumper. This jumper is beautiful. It's cashmere, so I do think I probably will get a little bit too hot. Maybe I'll walk at a slow, steady pace so I don't overheat. It's from the Row via a website called Luisa Via Roma. Flash jewellery chain, which I haven't worn for ages. I kind of just forgot to put it on one day and then just stopped wearing it. So it's back on, and the jumper's navy, by the way. I don't know if you can tell. Trousers are Ami. They are from last kind of, did I buy them last year or did I buy them this year? No, I think I bought them this year actually, earlier at the very start of the year. I think I bought them in February, found them in Liberty. They're from Ami. Did I just say that? Wow, my head is not there today. They're from Ami. I don't know if they're available anymore. They are wool, so they probably aren't available now. They've probably released like a lighter weight version, but I imagine come winter they will probably redo these. But I had to have them tailored within an inch of their life. I had to have so much taken off the bottom. I had to have the waist readjusted. And then I'm wearing suede Arizona Birkenstocks. These I've had for so long, but just always gravitate towards the black leather ones I've got, when actually these are way more comfortable. Like from the get-go, when you buy this style, the suede is so soft and all like floppy and just really comfortable. I quite like this colour paired with navy. There's my Depop pile. I need to do that this afternoon or tomorrow. Oh, I've just poured myself a very small glass of wine. I'm just finishing off a bottle of orange wine that I opened last week. There was just a little bit left at the bottom. It's this one called Orange Orangutan, a very, very clever pun on orangutan. I ordered this through modalwines.com. Really enjoyed it. When I first tried it, I thought it was too dry for me. It is exceptionally dry. However, the flavours kind of come into its own now and I'm really enjoying it. I just want to take 10 minutes to quickly talk about some books that I've read, because I've managed to read 4 books in the space of 2 weeks. Now, I don't mean that as a humble brag, but that's completely alien to me, because I don't think I've ever read 4 books in the space of 2 weeks. I'm just quite shocked at myself, to be honest. I think what it was a combination of, we had some really good weather last week, so I sat in the garden just off my phone, just reading, and just kind of, I think lack of motivation in other areas has actually given me the motivation to sit down and read things that I've been meaning to read for so long. And yeah, just had my head stuck in books for 2 weeks basically. So I would like to share what it is I've been reading. So the first one is Calypso by David Sedaris. This book was hilarious. I loved it so much. If you are familiar with David Sedaris, or at least familiar with like the actual sound of his voice, you'll know what it sounds like. And the whole time I was reading this, I could just hear his voice narrating the whole story, and it just made it so much funnier. And actually, when I mentioned that I was reading this on Instagram, quite a few people were like, you need to listen to the audiobook, because he reads the audiobook and it's brilliant. There are some quite heartbreaking moments in it, but throughout the whole thing there's like this thread of wit, and even in those heartbreaking moments that he talks about, he's still quite witty and he is quite comical about it. And it's such a brilliant book. It's sort of a memoir, diary style type of writing, and it's that kind of like observational humour where not much is happening. He's just talking about things that he likes, things that he finds funny, things that he doesn't like. He kind of reminds me of Larry David a little bit actually. But yeah, I highly recommend this book. It was brilliant. Then after that I read Pachinko, which took me about a week to read. It's over 500 pages, which I was, again, just like shocked at myself, because normally a book of this size would scare me and I'd probably end up putting it down and just be a bit kind of overwhelmed by the size of it. But I was completely enthralled by this book. I loved it so much. I felt so invested in every single character, which I feel like is quite rare in a book, to be invested in every character and want to know what happens in every character's element of their life. And even as like characters faded away and new ones came in, I was invested in them just as much, and because of that I just didn't want it to end. It's a family saga that spans over how many years is it? So it's nearly 100. I think it's roughly about 90 years. And it starts in 1911 and I think it finishes in around 1990. And it's very interesting if you're not familiar with the era of history in which Japan had ownership over Korea, and then when Korea divided into North and South. It references that era of history quite a lot, and it's very interesting because I knew a bit about it but I didn't know much. And it's very interesting to learn about it in the context of a family going through it. So yeah, I just really enjoyed it for so many different elements and just felt really enthralled by it. And I just think it's just a very special book, and it's a book that I would think about when I wasn't reading it, which doesn't happen to me very often. And I think it will be one that I will read again in future, definitely. It was just a very special, unique book. Then after that, I read a book that Lizzie recommended to me called Verity by Colleen Hoover. Now, the reason I'm smirking is because I can't quite tell if it was a bit cheesy or not. It was a romantic thriller that had some very explicit erotic parts to it. There were some parts that I just felt were just unnecessarily erotic and just bits that didn't need to be in it. But the thriller element of it was brilliant, and I started it yesterday and I'd finished it by the evening. I was enthralled. Like, I picked up in the morning, then I put it down for a bit, and then I picked it up in the afternoon, and that was it. I didn't put it down. And it got to like, I think 9 o'clock in the evening, and Dean was like, I'm just gonna leave you to finish that because I can see that you are completely stuck inside that book. And like, it was actually quite scary, and it's the first time I've read a thriller where I've actually been quite scared. And after some of the chapters I was a bit like, right, okay, like what's gonna happen? And I think that's why I read it in a whole day, because I just wanted to know what happened, because I couldn't tell what was going to happen at all. I didn't know which way the book was going to go. And the reason I don't have it on me now to show you is because I actually posted it to a friend this afternoon, because it's one of those books that will completely capture you. And I've spoken recently about how I've struggled with my screen time and how I've just been mindlessly scrolling on my phone, and it completely stopped me from doing that. I think my screen time yesterday was like 4 hours, maybe even less than that. I was just hooked. So I've sent it to a friend who I think will benefit from it quite a lot. And I am now about to start a new book. No, sorry, I lied. I didn't read 4 books in 2 weeks. I read 3 books in 2 weeks. I'm now about to start my 4th book, which I might finish by the end of the week. You never know. It's Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer. I have watched the film on Netflix, but at the time didn't realise it was a book. And I didn't know this was a trilogy, so I'm not sure if the film covered all 3 books or whether it just covered Annihilation. So I'm quite excited to read this now. I can kind of remember some of the film, but we all know that film adaptations are rarely, you know, by the book. So yeah, I'm looking forward to reading this with my glass of wine and just having a little bit of downtime. I am about to do my makeup this morning and thought I'd vlog it, because I did mention in a previous vlog that I was going to do some beauty chat in a future vlog. So I thought, right, I'll do it today. I'm not going to call this a makeup tutorial, because this is by no means a tutorial. This is just what I put on my face every day. There's not much, but it might be of interest to some people. I've done my skincare already. The first thing I do in the morning is obviously cleanse my face, and then I put on my vitamin C serum. I use the Drunk Elephant C Firmer Day Serum, and I've been using this for well over a year now. I do really like it. The texture is a little bit sticky, so I do find you have to let this sink in for around, I'd say maybe like 15 minutes before then applying anything else over the top of it. Otherwise, I mean, it might just be my skin, but I just find it's a little bit tacky and it's hard to layer stuff over it. So I would normally wake up, cleanse my face, put this on, then like do my hair and then do my makeup so that this has had time to sink in. Then after that, I will put on either the Drunk Elephant Bee Hydra Intensive Serum, or I will put on the Wild Smith Skin Copper Peptide Cream. 2 very different moisturisers. This one is a very thick cream, whereas this one is a very thin serum. So I would probably use the cream maybe 3 days out of 7, and then the other days I would use this. Today I've used the Copper Peptide Cream because I felt like my skin was a little bit dehydrated, so in need of something a bit thicker. I've also done a little bit of facial massage as well, just while the moisturiser's been sinking in. Right, next step is SPF. Now I was using the Beauty Pie Ultra Light SPF, I think it's called. I've been using that for about 2 years and it recently ran out, so I thought I would try something new, just because I just fancy trying something new. So I ordered the Glossier Invisible Shield about 2 weeks ago, and I really like this. I like how thin it is. The Beauty Pie one was more like a moisturiser, whereas this feels a bit more like a serum. And I don't particularly enjoy layering too many products on my face. So I've already got the vitamin C and a moisturiser, and I'm now putting an SPF on. For me, that's kind of like the limit. I don't really want to be layering more products on, because I find my skin doesn't react well when it has lots of products layered over the top of it. So I like this glossy SPF because it feels like it just sinks in and it doesn't feel like I'm putting anything thick on my face. Okay, that is it for skincare. The only other thing that I will do is I will just spritz a mist, because I just quite like how a mist feels. I use the Sarah Chapman Skinesis Liquid Facial De-Stress Mist, and I'm sure there is a lot of good stuff in this, as there normally is with Sarah Chapman products. It just feels so good. Right, so I don't wear foundation. I haven't worn foundation for about, I don't know, I feel like I maybe haven't worn foundation for about 2 years now. I've gradually weaned myself off. I was very much a full foundation, like heavy foundation kind of girl, and gradually I've just switched to sort of like lighter and lighter products, to the point where I got to basically using like a tinted moisturiser, and then after that just switched to nothing, and feel so much better for it. I think the reason I did it was because I felt like I wasn't enjoying putting on makeup basically. I used to love the ritual of putting on all of my makeup each morning, and I used to take quite a long time doing it. But as I've got older, I just cannot be bothered. Like, I can't be bothered with makeup at all. I actually don't particularly enjoy the process of putting it on. But I do like wearing a little bit of it, but I do not enjoy wearing like full face of makeup anymore. And it's funny, like when you stop wearing foundation, you think that you look really different, but actually no one notices at all. And a lot of it is just getting used to what you look like without foundation and what your skin is like underneath the foundation. It's been a real journey to kind of get used to what my skin actually looks like and being comfortable in that skin. But now that I'm foundation free, I would never look back. I don't think I'd ever go back to foundation unless it was for a shoot or something like that. And do you know what's really liberating about not wearing foundation is that when you put clothes on, or you go to try clothes on in a changing room, there is no fear of getting the those orange marks on the neck of any of the clothing. It's so good. I have, however, I do use a couple of base products every now and then. If I wasn't using any base products, I would just go straight in with concealer now. But I recently bought Glossier's Future Dew, which is, I don't even really know what it is. It's kind of like a dewy, actually no, I lie, I didn't buy it. It came as a sample with the SPF. So I used that for a couple of days and really, really enjoyed that as something to just wear as a kind of glowy base. It's literally just a serum that gives you a very, very nice glow. So I have ordered that because I did really like that. Another product I have been using that I was sent is this primer, Cell Rejuvenating Priming Moisturiser from Victoria Beckham in collaboration with Augustinus Bader. Now, to be transparent, I think I just said this was gifted to me. This is excruciatingly expensive. I didn't quite realise how expensive it was, but if you're familiar with Augustinus Bader as a brand, you will know how expensive some of their products are. I looked at buying the cream, the cult cream that Augustinus Bader do, and it's £200 or something. So yeah, if you're familiar with Augustinus Bader, then you will be well aware of how expensive their products are. But I know that there's a lot of science behind the brand, and I see so many people rave about the brand. So I was like, okay, I will give this a try, especially because it's a primer, but can be worn alone, obviously, that kind of just warms up your skin and gives a bit of a glow. Now, I was a bit skeptical about it at first because it is very bronzy looking, and I was like, great, this is going to be really shimmery and I'm going to look like a disco ball. I don't know if you can see that, but actually I was pleasantly surprised by how natural this looks. I mean, you can't really detect anything. All it does is... Okay, then I'm just...
Clean up and stuff.
Okay.
Okay, no, I didn't know you were recording.
That's alright. Lost my train of thought now. Yeah, so it just warms up the skin a bit and gives it a very healthy glow. I am sure there is a lot of science behind this product. I look crazy in there. I look so shiny in the viewfinder. I'm sure there's a lot of science behind this product, so I feel like I'm not quite in a position where I can give this a full review. As a primer and as something to wear as a base, it is a lovely product, but I've only been using it for about 2 weeks, so I don't feel like I can give it a full review yet, because I'm sure there's some skincare benefits to using this. So for now, I will say it is a beautiful, beautiful product, but to give you a full review, I think I need to wait a couple more weeks. Right, okay, so that is on. So the next step is brows. Now, I was one of those teenagers that sadly overplucked their brows quite a bit, and they've never really fully grown back since. So this is, I would say, the longest part of my routine is filling out the brows. By the way, this routine, I mean, this section of video is probably going to be about 20 minutes long, but in reality it wouldn't take me this long to do the makeup. Obviously it's just because I'm chatting away. So I use the Brow Flick from Glossier in the shade Blonde. I like this a lot because it's almost like a felt tip pen and you can just mimic little hairs. I will fast forward this section because this, like I said, is the longest part of the routine. Take so long because they are so sparse, and I've tried massaging with oil. I mean, I don't pluck them anymore at all because there's just no need. I tidy up the bottom bit a little bit now and then, but yep, just leave them to do their thing. And I'm not interested in microblading or anything like that. I just would rather fill them out each day. Okay, now I'm going to put on a tiny bit of bronzer, not much because I don't feel like I need an exceptional amount of bronzer. I'm using the Chanel Healthy Glow Sheer Powder in the shade 40, and then I'm using an Hourglass brush. This brush is so good. And just do the usual sort of C shape around the sides of the face, and then I take the little end and I just swipe a bit over my eyelids. That's as far as I go in terms of eyeshadow. Okay, now mascara. I am kind of alternating between two mascaras at the moment depending on what kind of look I want, and the two mascaras are the Marc Jacobs Lashed Mascara. This is very good if you want a dramatic lash, and the Glossier Lash Slick, which is very good for just everyday lash. I'm going to go with Glossier today because I don't really need a dramatic lash for today. Normally what I would do in the summer is actually get my lashes tinted and then just curl them each day, because I have very long eyelashes that some of them are blonde. I've kind of got like a mix of blonde and brown eyelashes. So there's lots of lashes that are kind of undetectable, but then when you tint them, my lashes look a lot fuller. Also, because of hay fever in the summer, I just find it a lot easier and more practical to have my lashes tinted and not wear mascara. But obviously at the moment it's not possible to have my lashes tinted, so I've been using this mascara. Also, because my lashes are quite long, I tend to get a lot of fallout underneath, get the old panda eyes, and I find that this mascara does not, I don't experience that with this mascara. It's got a very good brush on it as well. It's kind of short and stubbly as opposed to a big fluffy brush, if you know what I mean. So it's very hard to get too much product on the brush, so you're never going to end up with a very cloggy lash. I'm not putting much on at all. However, at the end I might just do another coat depending on how they look. Okay, concealer. I've got a little bit of a hormonal breakout on the side of my face, but apart from that I'm doing quite good at the moment. I mix 2 concealers together. What shade do I mix together? This is the Hourglass Vanish Concealer. It was sent to me in 3 shades and none of them were correct, so I just thought I'm going to mix some shades together and just create my shade. It's a very nice concealer, by the way, but I don't like this doe foot applicator. I feel like they're a bit messy. I want to try the glossier stretch concealer because I much prefer a pot concealer, and I've heard the consistency is very nice. Now I don't wear much at all. I'm just going to cover up the breakout there. I mean, I'm barely going to cover it. I'm just going to sort of even it out, and then I put a tiny bit just around my nose. To be honest, putting concealer on my nose is pointless because in about 10 minutes I'll need to blow it, probably. As soon as I go outside I'll need to blow my nose. And then under my eyes. So I'm always very careful about putting concealer under my eyes because there's a very fine line, and if you put too much underneath there it can look quite heavy. Well, from my experience anyway, I think just because I basically fear putting concealer and too much concealer on and foundation on. So for me, like, my idea of a lot of makeup is probably completely different to someone else's idea of a lot of makeup. So yeah, just try and keep it really light under the eye and kind of try and do it in that V shape. And I don't go right up to the lash line because I feel like leaving a slight shadow underneath the lash line looks more natural. Okay, I think that is it for concealer. Got one little... Oh, and I apply everything with my fingers just to warm it up, basically. Because again, I feel like if I'm using my fingers, it looks a little bit more natural. Okay, we're at 18 minutes. Come on, let's get this done in the next couple of minutes. Okay, blusher now. Blusher, I love a good blusher. That's where I like to, well, not experiment, but I just love a good blusher. And I've got 3 that I like at the moment that I'm kind of rotating. My everyday blusher is MAC's Lady Blush. This is so old. I've had this for years. It does not seem to want to go down. It's just never ending. It's also discontinued. I think it got discontinued ages ago. And it's such a good everyday kind of warm, rosy pink. I mean, you could maybe check eBay or Depop and see if anyone's selling it, but it's a very old shade that they discontinued and didn't replace or anything. The other blusher that I like is from Make. This is the shade Bisou Bisou. It's a lip and cheek stick. It looks terrifying in this. It's very dirty as well. That could do with a clean. Just clean that now. Oh, why bother? It looks very scary. It's like a very dark brick red, but on the skin it's beautiful. It's a very good one for if you want to create a very like sun-kissed look. I will find that this is really nice if I've got a little bit of a tan. I always take this one on holiday with me actually. It's very good for that. But today I'm going to use Giorgio Armani A blush in the shade 30. Now this was sent to me, and as soon as I like swatched it on my hand, I was like, no way, I am not giving that a go, because it is a bright coral colour, and I just thought, absolutely not. But then I was like, do you know what, I should try new things. I should try other things because I'm so stuck in my routine. it wouldn't hurt me to just try a new blush, and actually this is now my new favourite. The texture is almost like water, so I mean that's already a plus in my books because I like anything that's virtually undetectable on the skin and blends in easily, and it just creates the most natural flush. I think because it is that warm coral shade, it's a really nice pop on the cheek. I don't know, in the viewfinder I look like a clown at the moment, but I can assure you in real life it looks good. And it's quite, I mean, you can build it up. I also like to put on, I'm just going to put on a little bit of lip balm, and then just take a little bit of excess and put it on my lips, because I remember reading once that the best way to create a natural looking blush is to match your lip and cheek colour. Because when you're naturally flushed, it's usually a similar colour to your lips. That might not be true, but I find that that rule works really well if you're trying to create a natural flushed look. Always just put a little bit of excess on the bridge of my nose so it looks like I've been out getting some vitamin D. Okay. Lastly, highlighter. Now, two highlighters that I really like. Again, Make Depop is very good. Kind of looks a bit pinky, fleshy toned, but it's virtually transparent. It's very, very nice. But I'm going to use the RMS Living Luminizer. I don't know if you can see that, but that is gross. I've had this for about 2 years, and it's another product that does not seem to want to run out, which is great, but it's just never ending. Oh, wrong finger. I'm not going to use much of this because it's quite like it's got a white cast to it, so I don't want to put too much on because then it starts to look a bit unnatural. But I just do it in a sort of C shape around my eyes, and then corners of my eyes and Cupid's bow. And that is me done. The only other thing I will do now is possibly a little bit of powder. I mean, in the viewfinder I look exceptionally shiny. I'll just put the smallest bit of powder on. This is the same, so this is the same powder as my bronzer, but just in the paler shade. So this is the shade 20, and people talk about the T-zone. I like to refer to mine as the H-zone because I go like across here, and then it's just where the pores are just a little bit open. Okay, that is me done. So yeah, like I said, that I don't wear a lot of makeup. That is the extent of my makeup routine. If I move into the light, you can kind of get a bit more of a sense of the makeup, but yes, that is not too much different to how I look without makeup, I guess. I guess it's just the eyebrows and the lashes that make most of the difference. We're going to the beach today because I just really want to get out of the house. It's quite gloomy today, so it's not going to be the kind of beach trip where we can sit and enjoy the sun, but it'll be nice to just go out for a walk somewhere that we haven't been to for a while. So I thought I'd show you what I'm wearing, because it's kind of muggy outside still, but very cloudy. I'm wearing this navy jumper from the Row, which I think you will have seen already in an outfit this week. This chain, by the way, is from Flash Jewellery. And then I'm wearing these white jeans from Studio Nicholson. They're very baggy, very wide, and they're very thick, but I love them. And what are these called? Vans, that's it. These are the Authentic LX, I think they're called. And a tote bag. So that's me for today. yeah, shoes are gonna be full of sand. Oh. I have no idea if you can hear me, probably not. I'm going to try and shout over the wind. Dean is about to run down this, which doesn't look like much, but it is massive. And I'm going to film him. Yeah. Were you meant to fall over like that?
Yeah. Take my glasses off.
Oh! Well, that turned into quite a nice afternoon, didn't it?
Lovely.
I think what I thought was going to be quite a gloomy, rainy day was actually really fun. We managed to miss the rain. So, yeah, and found a new little beach spot that I think we will go to again. We've just been to Waitrose as a treat to get dinner, and I have bought myself it's not a gingerbread person, it is a gingerbread avocado, which looked great, but I'm a bit worried about this icing to gingerbread ratio. I think there's a bit too much icing. It's exceptionally sweet, but good gingerbread biscuit though. I've just finished putting the vlog together, so this is me signing off. I won't speak too much because the vlog is almost at 50 minutes already. I do have a habit of putting together a long vlog, but I mean, to be honest, I don't have a lot to say this week that I haven't already said. Still feeling quite flat and lacking motivation, but I'm learning to find joy in other things, like taking myself out for a walk or going to the beach. That beach trip was the first time we'd been to the beach since the 20th of March, and the only reason I can remember the exact date is because it was Dean's birthday, and that was literally like 2 or 3 days before we were told to lock down and we couldn't travel anywhere. So it's been a long time. It was really nice to get out and go to the beach. So yesterday, pubs were given the green light to open. I think they were told they could open at, it was something like 6 AM. Pretty sure it was like 6 AM yesterday morning. I personally have not felt the desire to frequent the pub this weekend. I am not quite ready for that just yet, and I've seen some quite horrifying images online today of just huge crowds of people in pub gardens and in the streets outside of pubs, mostly in London because people don't tend to congregate outside pubs where I live, but in London I know it's quite a big thing where people will just spill out into the street, and I've just seen just huge crowds of people outside pubs with no masks on, but like really like sort of shoulder to shoulder, like quite compact crowds of people.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought it was your computer.
What was I saying? Yeah, so I'm just not quite at that stage yet where I would love to, obviously, you know, before all this happened we would go to the pub each week, or go out for dinner with friends each week, but I'm, you know, like as much as I want it, I'm not quite at the stage yet where I'm ready to go out and do it. I would much prefer to have just a few people sat in our garden, having drinks and food, but yeah, it's very anxiety inducing for me when I think about going back out into society as normal, and I'm sure it will be for so many people. When I touched on the experience I've had with agoraphobia in the past, quite a few people messaged me just saying I felt exactly the same. It's triggered a lot of social anxieties, and so I really feel for people who are, obviously feel for everyone in this whole situation at the moment, but those of you who do suffer from social anxieties, the past, I mean, what has it been, 4 months now? The past 4 months have almost been, it's been like a bit of a security blanket really. There's not been it's like I haven't really had to worry about those social anxieties too much, because I knew that no one else was out socializing. Basically, it's kind of weird. It's like I kind of felt a lot of clarity, like a lot of peace in knowing that people weren't out doing things, because I didn't have to worry about the social anxiety elements of things. Anyway, yeah, I know that there'll be lots of people who are feeling the same, like seeing these big crowds of people going out and socialising and getting this real anxiety about it all. So yeah, I hope you've all had a very good week, and I shall see you all again next week.